There's a 10.5-foot statue of Christ that sits in the Protestant cathedral in Copenhagen, Denmark. It was produced by the Danish architect Bertel Thorvaldsen, and it was designed to be in heroic size. Now it's 10.5 feet, right? Which is probably, by the way, about twice the size of Jesus, actually. I mean, honestly, that's probably about right. But he wanted to use this style in order to convey in grand gesture the victory of Christ over all the world and how he rules and reigns. And so he went into his studio and he molded the clay and had Jesus' arms held up high and his head thrown back like this in a posture of victory toward heaven. Now, if you're trying to imagine what that looked like, just imagine the Super Bowl tonight. Somebody's going to cross the end zone and immediately, right, thanking God for, the victory and for making him so successful, that sort of thing. Well, that's sort of the way this sculpture was designed. But a funny thing happened. He closed the doors to his studio in order to let the clay set. And a rainstorm came through that was really hard, and dampness seeped into the studio. And 3 days later, when he came back, he was horrified to notice that these arms raised in exaltation had now dropped all the way down like this. Palms out, nail prints in palms, as if being held out to the world. And the head that was raised in exaltation was now bowed in a sense of humility. He didn't get the significance of that in the moment, and he grabbed a hammer, and he was so angry and frustrated, he was ready to destroy his creation, but something stopped him, and he backed away and went away that day and came back a few days later, bringing a friend with him. And when they walked in and the sun hit that sculpture just right, they stood there and they were captured by awe because they realized that's the right way to see the Christ. That's his true beauty. The fact that now he is depicted as the humble Savior. And these words were given to their new vision. Bathed in light, the lowered arms no longer depicted defeat. They saw in them the truth of God's compassion. Sympathetic arms encircling the sorrowing and needy. The head was now bowed low with contrite countenance, as if to say, I understand your travail. Some greater power had breathed meaning into the artist's ruined statue. This was no defeated Christ. This was a compassionate Savior. Nice. The Beatitudes are God's attitudes toward you and me. They are descriptions of the way God looks at people. They are blessed reversals of our common way of being in the world. But in order for us to see them and understand them that way, we ourselves have to adopt a posture that allows us to do so. And that's where this comes in. In this statue in Copenhagen of the Christ, anywhere you are in the sanctuary, you can see the outstretched arms of Christ that welcome you. But the only way you can see into the eyes of Christ, whose love from God is for you to come and kneel in front of Christ and humble yourself and look up to him. In other words, we will experience the blessings of God only when we put ourselves in the posture or the position to do so. It's not that that enables God to bless us. The blessing is already there. It's an act of grace. But our ability to receive it depends upon our humble positioning of ourselves in our way of life. You know, that statue of Christ in Copenhagen was meant to be victorious, to depict God's final reign in the world over all things sin and death. But now in its altered state, it does so even better than it ever could have otherwise, because there you see the nail prints in his hand, calling everyone to come and find healing hands from God. There you find the countenance of Christ inviting you to come and find new life because of his spirit of love and grace. To live the Beatitudes in our time now, I tell you, is to come to experience the life that is to come in the here and now. Just to taste it.